What is good? We're back. We got a Wednesday football show dropping on a Thursday. Get excited. So we're going to talk a little Flacco to Cincy, talk a little Chargers, give Jaguars some flowers, talk a little Patriots. Are they back with Drake Maye? Some winners and some losers, and then we're going to end with some power rankings. So let's get into it. Let's go right in. And let's talk about the Bengals trading in division with the Browns to get themselves a Joseph Flacco, once elite, but maybe not so elite anymore. Does this trade give you any hope for the Bengals to be able to hold serve until Joey B possibly comes back?
We saw Flacco keep the Browns alive in 2023. It's improbable, but possible, yes. He could play well enough to where they stay in a game and they eke out a win somehow. He can do that. I mean, but is it likely? No. I mean, I don't think that this really moves the needle in terms of where the fate of their season was headed once Joe Burrow was out for 3 months. But hey, it might be a little bit more fun than, it was going to be if we had to suffer through Jake Browning. We would just have to get all our points in garbage time as opposed to like having more competitive games. So, yeah.
This is a nothing burger for me. I think you get a little juice from a trade, and old ass Joe comes in here and gets maybe them boys fired up for a minute. But I think this is the Bengals are done. They should fire the coach. They should fire the owner. That guy stinks. It's just a bad team, and Joe Burrow probably deserves a raise. Like, they've had a tough schedule since losing Joe Burrow there, but I thought Browning was going to offer a little bit more. So maybe I'm a little off because that just has been so bad. They're just borderline unwatchable. And I don't know that this necessarily improves that very much. It's 1 week. Again, like I said, maybe it gives you a juice for a little bit of a week or two, or maybe you get hot for a week or two here or there once Flacco's fully integrated in kind of the what's going on in Cincinnati. But their offensive line stinks. They can't run the ball. Their defense is awful. You scapegoated maybe the best coach you had on the staff, and you let all your defensive players walk, and now you got to reap what you sow without Joe.
See, I mean, that's the franchise's playoff hopes or success is solely built on the health and availability of Joe Burrow. Like that's where we are right now. And I mean, he's talented enough to do it. It's just that he's not healthy enough to do it right now. So this might, again, from a real life perspective, like what the fate of their season is what the fate of their season is. I don't think that this changes anything for them. And I don't think that this is going to change. This is going to change what we should expect in any way or any way, shape or form, because he's not a pass rusher. He's not a lockdown corner. He's not anything that they need in addition to needing Joe Burrow to be superhuman to add to this, this team's proposed Super Bowl window.
Yeah, the only positive you have here is the division's maybe the most down we've seen it be in a minute here. Lamar will come back. The Ravens will probably get it together in some form or fashion and go on a bit of a run. I think Pittsburgh's going to stay, above 500 for most of the season. But Cleveland here, maybe getting, I don't know. We'll see if they got a little juice from Gabriel here, and maybe he can manage an offense. And with that defense, it's the only glimmer of hope that I see there is that the division's a little down. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go over to LA. Just IR City over here. This was my favorite team for the first couple of weeks. Herbert was playing amazing, and then Charger things just start happening over there. I don't know if it's just, they're supposed to be all on the up and up over there on the left coast with all sorts of regulations and health and all these things. And those two franchises are just bang the F up as far as San Fran and LA. And LA's constantly, the Chargers have constantly been in this mode. But, they did make a trade for Owe from the Ravens, maybe trying to get a little bit of pass rusher. They send a safety in Gilman over there, and they exchanged some picks, right? Maybe just trying to get a little pass rush until you can get Khalil Mack back, but they've got injuries. They lost Denzel Perryman. They lost him early on. They lost both of their tackles. They've now lost Hampton. Right, you're on to third and fourth in key positions here. I think the coaching staff is really good, but are the Chargers just charging? Are we floundering here? What's going on? Have they lost their mojo? Are they gonna get back to it? Where do you see the Chargers right now, Chev?
I mean, I see the Chargers all over the injured reserve, man. Like that, they've been just ravaged by injuries. Like, I don't know. This is absurd, but this is also the most Chargers thing that could happen. Hey, we've got a team that we think could contend for a Super Bowl. Guess what? Like, instead of Flex Seal, they just got hit with the injury bug. Like, Billy Mazio or whatever his name is just came in with an injury bug, slapped it on the Chargers. Now we're dealing with a team that's just, you can't even properly evaluate. So people are going to start saying, oh, same old Chargers, they suck, when they just don't have enough healthy bodies right now. They're trading for Odafe Owe, who is a freak athlete in all, he's 6'4", he's 250, and he runs a 4.3. And you see the flashes, but he just hasn't translated as a dominant pass rusher. But they're so desperate that they needed him. They just needed a body. So he gives them an opportunity to do so. Beyond that, like, there's just no way you can evaluate this team seriously. You lose Joe Alt, who had been playing lights out at left tackle after being, all rookie as a right tackle. Mm-hmm. Rashawn Slater's out for the year. They're just, they've lost Mekhi Becton for stretches, who, playing guard. So this is just, this is a throwaway month where if they can pull out like one win and stay in the playoff hunt, you just say you survived. And let's gear up for the last 2 months of the season, man. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you're hoping you got the Dolphins coming up, right? And hopefully you can get the win there, right? Then you play the Colts, and then you play, which is most likely a loss, but stranger things happen, right? Colts seem relatively healthy at this point at a lot of key positions. Vikings are one where you say, hey, maybe if JJ's back in there, you could sneak a win with, Minter having a good kind of confusing defense, maybe knowing a little bit about JJ McCarthy, right? And hey, maybe we can figure out a little bit of a run game. You still have elite weapons as far as the disposal of Herbert, and Herbert's legs, I think, are going to need to be leaned on even more in this stretch, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then in November 2nd, you have your Titans coming in. So I think over in a calendar 30 days or so, you could maybe figure out how to get 2 or 3 wins here, and then all of a sudden, maybe you start eventually. You're not getting your best offensive player back, but you could get Alt back, and you could get Hampton back, and maybe you get Perryman and Mack back, and and Becton can get out of the concussion protocol. So I do still think there's hope. I think there's I think everything's there, right? The Chargers are quote unquote charging right now, but I do think maybe it could just be for a chunk instead of the entire season here.
Yeah, that's it. We just, again, you take what you see from this team over the next month and take it with a grain of salt, because they're going to be dangerous once everybody's healthy, unless this just continues to go down a tragic path of lost season to injury. Yeah.
All right. What's good? You know the phrase, the house always wins? Well, not anymore with our new sponsor, Profit X. Profit X, America's #1 sports prediction market, is a peer-to-peer sports prediction market where users play against each other instead of a sports book versus the house. You almost always get the best price in any spread, money line, total, and player prop, since you're playing against other people rather than the book. It looks just like a sports book, but with way better odds. So what are you waiting for? Go download the app and use promo code FFD to claim up to $200 in profit cash on all the plays you use in the first 30 days of playing on site. Link in the description. Now, let's go looking around here, fishing around. What do we like? What do we see? We just did the P-Whopper episode with Joseph here. So we're going to take a look at one of our P-Whopper route-based heroes. We're going to go select receiving yards. We're in the Cleveland Browns game. Jerry Jeudy was on the list. Jerry Jeudy over 38.5 yards. We're going to smash play that one. The P-Whopper's been absolutely amazing with Joseph, so make sure you're signed up using promo code FFB and follow us through these plays. Jerry Jeudy, over 38.5 yards. Peace. Monday night, we saw Jacksonville get the dub. First win on Monday night for the current owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars since he's owned the team. That was their first win on Monday Night Football. I believe that's the stat. That's crazy. And it comes on the heels against the Chiefs, right? And the Chiefs are banged up in their own right, and they've lost the one-score games that they've won in the past, right? And so that's kind of something that the Chiefs kind of need to figure out. I think the Chiefs will be fine. That's for another segment. But this is to give the Jags their flowers here, because they're 4-1. I think they could be 5-0 to play the. I think they could be. Game is sort of dangerous, but I want to give T-Law some love, but I mostly want to give this defense some love. Chev, what do you give the Jags and the defense and Trevor Lawrence, if you want to, some flowers here?
Let's start with the defense, and we'll see if there's some time left for old Sunshine over there. So the Jags defense has been playing lights out. And again, if you followed this, the comedy of errors that was the Jags offseason hires, you saw the whole Liam Cohen press conference. Well, they hired the defensive coordinator is Anthony Campanile, I believe his name is, and he has one of the most awesome speeches about his defensive philosophy. And it's translating right now to their defense. So you got Josh Hines Allen playing at a high level. The biggest catalyst to all this, though, is Foye Oluwakon's always been a really, really good, really good off-ball linebacker. But then Devin Lloyd this year has taken a major step forward, and he's playing MVP caliber ball. He had a 99-yard pick six. He's got 4 interceptions as a linebacker already. So he's going to probably be an all-pro, and that when you have somebody make an enormous leap along with the talent they already had with, Eric Armstead, and Trayvon Walker, the former number 1 overall pick, and some of the pieces in the secondary stepping it up. This defense has been doing a lot of heavy lifting. I mean, they forced, 2 or 3 turnovers versus the Bengals in that game that they lost, but they've been playing really well all season. And also Trevor Lawrence is just not screwing it up, depending on which camera angle that you're watching from.
Yeah, this defense has been lights out. They've been kind of tough to run against. They've been opportunistic with the turnovers, and all those players that you pointed out have been playing really well. Travis Hunter giving some help on defense, some help on offense, so a little bit of a fun, versatile piece there. But like I said, man, I think you got I want to give Trev some flowers here because he takes a lot of shit, because I think forever he was, you had him on the pedestal, and you got to take him off the pedestal because he's not that generational player. But he's also been on the Jaguars. You just heard the stat that I said, and if it's not like they have won one Monday Night Football game since Shad Khan's been the owner, I believe is the correct stat. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comments there. But like that's what this man was dealing with. Like he's had some other good seasons with Jacksonville, despite some other silliness that goes on in that organization. But now I think what you're seeing with Trevor Lawrence is we've seen these other quarterbacks in the league, and we're starting to get hip to it, like have to go to other places to get fixed and get good. The other place came to him. So now he's finally getting a chance to maybe get fixed and figure some things out. And I think, this was just to go beat San Fran and then come home and beat Kansas City are just 2 huge wins for this franchise, 2 huge wins for Trevor Lawrence. And, is Trevor, was he absolutely incredible? No, of course he still made some mistakes, managing the clock here and there. But, you thought maybe, just maybe the Chiefs were going to do it again. They methodical drive down the field, they score. And 9 times out of 10, Jacksonville does not come out. 9.9 times out of 10, the old Jacksonville Jaguars do not come down there and score a touchdown. And then, hey, Trevor ran around. He was tough. It was a gritty win. He drops a pretty one in the bucket and then falls down and gets in the end zone. And so, yeah, some luck had to happen. And when you're watching that, if you played it 9 times out of 10, maybe the Jags lose 9 of those, right? But they won this one. And I think they're just building something in that building right now that they haven't done in a really, really long time.
Yeah, if you just
shout out to the run game too, because it's been awesome. Chiefs don't let you run the ball, but huge.
Yeah, that's been a big catalyst, like you said. But they played a great run defense for the most part when Chris Jones is actually putting effort into plays and stuff. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that right now. Yeah, if you took the generational label off and just looked at what Trevor Lawrence is, he's just a fancy version of Daniel Jones. You know, that's what he is. He runs around. It's like, it's big, it's awkward. He has all the tools, but it just never quite came together. That's what he reminds me of. If you take off like the expectations of him being the next Andrew Luck or whatever, he's just like fancy Daniel Jones.
And been in a Daniel Jones-esque situation where it's been some up and downs, but the franchise has generally failed around him, right? And so now you've got something that the franchise seems to be going in the right steps. We've seen this a few times before with the Jags. I think this one's real. Liam Cohen looks like the guy, and they've got, I think, just one more quick point. I know we went way over the clock on this one, but like, name a quarterback right now who's not converting things with their legs right now and making things harder to deal with in the league on a winning team, really, outside of maybe Mac Jones for San Francisco, like on a bunch of winning teams, there's not a whole lot of them. Like, that's what makes things so difficult for a lot of defenses. Daniel Jones is a great example. Like, the legs are underrated with Daniel Jones, but they're there when they need them, right? And they can just put one more wrinkle, a little bit more stress on defenses. So want to just give a ton of flowers to the Jags because they deserve it. All right, let's I guess we'll probably just stay throwing some flowers out here because the New England Patriots went up to Buffalo, upset the Bills. Look, we know Vrabes can coach. We've seen it before. He kind of comes from this area and this tree and the persona, everything that he puts on. And he went and got some real solid pieces on defense. So we knew that eventually that we're familiar with his scheme. So we knew eventually this defense would come around this season. The defense is looking good. They got some corners back. They can lock you down quite a bit and get after you. This offense isn't super sexy right now. But Drake Maye seems like he might certainly be making things miserable for the Pats haters out there because he seems to really be starting to kind of come around. And if Stephon Diggs can just give him that guy for the year to kind of figure things out and give him a go-to guy, like, how good is Drake Maye? And I really just wanted to kind of do a Drake Maye ranking. So Jason, before you start the clock, just give me a little Pats talk and what you think about him, and then we'll rank Drake Maye with the clock.
Man, so this is the win surprised a lot of people. This does not surprise me. This is what Mike Vrabel does. He wins games like that, primetime, big spots. Like, he's gonna have his teams ready to play, and you've got a guy like Drake Maye who is an absolute gamer, and he's the guy. I believe he's one of the players that you view as a tractor, not a trailer. Mm-hmm. And if Stephon Diggs is along for the ride and he's healthy and he's still Stephon Diggs, which by all accounts he still is, and you're seeing it now, fresh off of I believe just past a year removed from the ACL, and they're ramping. So he's still Stephon Diggs. So you have the elements in place. The roster was a little bit, we viewed it as a little bit poor because you didn't have someone who knew how to put the pieces together. And it seems like they're starting to hit a groove now. We had to get their run game in the right spot in terms of not only taking care of the football, but generating explosive runs, cough, cough. So this is if you've watched and followed Mike Vrabel, you understand that this was a wake-up call to the rest of the division, because he's going to put them in positions to win those types of games and just win games that they shouldn't in general for a very long time. Yeah.
I like it. All right. Let's rank Drake Maye. I want to put him up against the other quarterbacks in the 2024 class, because they're having a lot of success right now, right? So Drake Maye versus Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. I mean, I think JJ McCarthy's not in the discussion right this minute. So let's take a second here and kind of rank the hierarchy of where we think Drake Maye is among those players right now and the projection of the future.
Where do I think Drake Maye is right now amongst those guys?
Yeah, like is he would you rather have him than Penix?
I would
right now and moving forward.
Yes.
I think so. I think I say yes, even though I've been a huge Penix guy. No Diddy.
Yeah.
All right.
I would have to say he'd be third for me.
He'd be third out of those guys. So you would rather have him. You'd rather have Nix than him.
No, I would rather have Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. Those are the only two.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention my man Caleb. Yeah. So you'd rather have Drake Maye than Bo Nix right now, even though we just saw Bo Nix put up a better season in year one.
If you put Drake, he would do Aaron Rodgers numbers in that fucking system. If you put Drake Maye in that system.
I agree 100%. I'm still Maye over Nix, and we're not talking dynasty rankings necessarily. We're just talking about football.
Talking about real football, like tractors and trailers, guys who make shit happen versus guys that are helping it happen.
Yeah. So then you come down to Caleb and Jaden Daniels, and I think Caleb's well on his way, but I think that's a argument for a lot of people. They would rather have Maye than Caleb. I think a lot of people just hate Caleb as well. But where are you at with that one? You said Caleb over Maye?
Yeah. Still. Okay. Real football wise, I'd still take Caleb. I think we're getting the dialed in. They're turning the knobs and dialing it in on Caleb, and it's improving at a rapid pace. But you're talking about a dude who's thrived under adverse circumstances and or in a not realistic system for a long time. So give me, both of these guys are getting their first real systems. I'm still going to take the guy that I had ahead, going into the evaluations, and that was Caleb Williams. Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm taking Caleb over Maye. I think what we're seeing from Caleb, and yeah, I could be take lock or whatever. I honestly, I think the gap between Maye, Caleb, and Daniels, which had been split, and so I think that's starting to shrink for me. And obviously unfair to Jaden Daniels. We've seen him; he's been injured a little bit here, and he's not 100% right now. So I don't think we're seeing the best version of Jaden Daniels at the moment. But I think Caleb's getting better. I think Maye's getting better. It's not a knock on Jaden Daniels. He was just so good that rookie year. But I think that gap is very much closed. So I like that. All right, let's go to winners and losers for the week. We had San Fran and Denver get some big wins, and then we had, some big losses in Kansas City, in Philly, in the Chargers, in the Rams, all some rough losses, right? So who do you think had the most impressive win? Who do you think had the worst loss?
Well, man, we already talked about who had the most impressive. Well, we've given the Jags some flowers, so let's flip over and give the Commanders some flowers here. I want to. So the Jags, we've talked about them. Now the Commanders go and they win in Los Angeles against a team that's slightly depleted, but they had some uncertainties. This was kind of a gotta have it moment for them, because if they don't win that game, now you're staring up at probably you're tied with Dallas and you're staring up at Philly. And that's just not a position that you want to be in with your quarterback unhealthy. But you go in and beat another, what we think is a playoff team who had, every reason to just, stomp on the gas. Now, that game was a totally different game if Ladd McConkey's punt return touchdown doesn't get called back. That basically took the life out of that game. People say momentum's not a real thing. Go watch that fucking game and tell me anybody
who says that's never played competitive sports, because it absolutely is. You can feel it.
Yes. And it pretty much, they just couldn't, they couldn't get out of their own way from that point forward. So kudos to the Commanders for to me this week, because they won. They won a game that I didn't think that they would. They were on schedule to win as a young team, but again, that Adam Peters, the GM, and the head coach Dan Quinn have blended experienced vets with these young guys, and they've hit in the draft on young guys. And this is I feel like they're really young, but they're performing ahead of schedule still. And they went to the NFC Championship last year. So yeah, it's all yours. I said too much, but I just had to say enough.
Yeah. Well, I obviously you got to give Denver some love for going into Philly and getting a win. I think we kind of already had Denver on a bit of a pedestal of thinking how good they were going to be. I think this is a great win for Denver as far as what goes on in the locker room and confidence and everything. But just Philly, it's the same thing I've been saying for every week, is just like, I don't think the coordinator's it. I don't think they can call an offense. They got a problem there. They can't figure it out. Maybe they will, but that's a really tough loss. I think if you're Philly, you had it once again, and you kind of let it slip away at home because you can't figure your offense out. And I feel like there's maybe some cracks and crevices starting to show on defense a little bit here and there. So we shall see.
Agency losses, yes, absolutely.
But San Fran's win on Thursday night on a short week with getting a third divisional win. You're basically out there potentially with some athletic plumbers at some spots, right? You're playing with thirds and fourths. Obviously, I'm a Niners guy if you've been watching this, but I've never, ever come out here with a homer bias of any sort. I think that was just a really impressive win. Again, to get 3 wins in division and be not have the media likes to sell the Avengers all together is just, they're figuring it out. They're stacking W's, figuring out ways to get that in there. And on the inverse, like, I don't think it's a terrible loss for the Rams, right? I think the Rams are better than San Francisco right now. They just happen to play. Shanahan's been McVay's daddy for a lot of the time that they've been together. They know each other really well. There was a stretch recently that McVay had gotten him a few times and some terrible fourth quarter comebacks or fourth quarter, give ups there. But
yeah,
I think that win by San Fran, and the Cardinals Cardinals loss was insane, but I don't really care about it. Just from a perspective thing, it was like, obviously you're wearing the Titans gear, so. Yeah, that was just,
if it ends up costing me Ruben Bain, I don't want this shit. If this is going to end up costing me Ruben Bain, I don't care. It's not worth it. If it's going to end up costing me Jordan Tyson, it's not worth it. Cool, man. We won a game in October that's going to affect our franchise for years. I'm just, Anyway, man, I don't want to talk about that. But we're going to.
Before we get to the power rankings, I want to hit apologies, and then we'll talk about the king of the mids, and then we'll hit the power rankings. All right.
Hey guys, quick reminder. If you haven't signed up for the free Discord or the free Patreon, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description.
This is something that I was kicking around whether we should do or not, but I feel like each week, maybe it doesn't even need to be what we said last week, but maybe what we've been saying all year. And I just want to extend my apologies to Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, because I feel like I was giving them a lot of buts, and there's no buts to give out right now. You got to go out there, you got to win the games that are in front of you, and that's all they're doing. And I don't know how Baker's not the MVP of the league right now. Like, he's not out there with his best stuff either. They've been missing their all world tackle. They've been missing. The right side of that line's been banged up through a good portion of the season, in and out. They're missing their awesome young running back and Bucky Irving. They're missing Mike Evans, the ghost of Chris Godwin's out there, right? Jalen McMillan injures his neck and misses God knows how many weeks, and they're still just going out there and finding ways to win games. And it's so much fun to watch too. And so it's apologies to Baker and the Bucs.
It's so vindicating to hear you say that. Yeah. I love it. My apology will be twofold. One, I have to apologize to apologize to Dylan Gabriel. I thought you were going to go out and fall on your face, and you were honestly a Herald fan and hold away from upsetting the Minnesota Vikings on foreign soil, getting your first W and your first start on foreign soil. And it comes down basically to Quinshon Judkins' 56-yard touchdown being called back. So, hey, Dylan Gabriel, apologies to you, sir. Maybe you won't be trash.
I love it. All right, let's get into these power rankings. So we're going to do the power bottoms, and then we're going to do the top 10, 12. But let's talk about the king of the mid here just for a second. Talk about these kind of middle of the pack teams that aren't going to get any love in the actual rankings. Bears and the Falcons were kind of the teams we were talking about last week. I don't know that a ton's changed there. Obviously, neither one of those teams played. But I think you could, obviously throw in New England and Dallas right now, right?
Yeah, for me, that's kind of where we land. I think those are the two teams that, I know they're probably technically, if we did a playoff hunt type of thing, that's where they would be. But yeah, I think that, they'd be just outside the playoff hunt. Like they're going to be in the wild card race pretty comfortably. So yeah, big win for, Dallas continues to play these exciting high octane games and win with a high powered offense, and New England gutted out that win and they've represented themselves really well in the games where they don't just continually fumble the fucking ball away. So yeah, that's the king of the mid for me.
Yeah, no, I think I'm right there with you without doubling back down on, the Bears and the Falcons without seeing them for a week. You could throw Minnesota in there because I think that they're kind of there, but I don't know. It doesn't have the same feel as last year where you're like, ooh, One thing that I want to point out in Minnesota is right now they don't have Green Dot Blake Cashman. Mm-hmm. They don't have Harrison Smith. They're missing some key pieces on defense right now. So Flores might not be able to dial it up or get as exotic as we're used to. And I think that might change once we get them back off of bye. Yeah, I like it. I think Dallas, could have some impressive wins here or there. New England seems like a team that could really be climbing these rankings pretty fast with kind of, what we just talked about with Diggs and Maye. And I think this defense is for real. You get Christian Gonzalez back out there, and drawing a blank on the other corner's name right now. But
Carlton Davis.
Fantastic, and maybe fantastic locking
up man to man. The best out of all those guys though right now is Marcus Jones. He's a slot corner, the punt returner as well. So I like quick aside about Marcus Jones. I coached, trained Calvin Austin from the time he was like 13 to all the way through high school. So when I talked to him about like who the toughest cover was, he played against Sauce Gardner, played against Kobe Bryant, and all those guys. He was like, Marcus Jones was the toughest guy, the most sticky corner that he had ever played against. And so to see him have a big moment on Sunday Night Football, the punt returns, like him breaking out, it's like, oh, I had no idea. But like that role in a Vrabel defense is going to pay dividends. And he's one of the most underrated slot guys in the entire NFL. So I just wanted to highlight him real quick because I think he's really good, and that's a fun story.
I love it. I think they can lock you up with kind of man to man and get after you, and Vrabes is just going to have that culture and defense, and they're going to play gritty, gutty. And he comes from that Belichick tree, so they just all the little in game things he's so on top of, man. And it's just those things are unaccounted for in a lot of senses, but they make a difference throughout games, especially if you're going to play this brand of football that you're probably going to be in a lot of tighter matchups for the most part. But against good teams, that you just need a chance, and that's what Vrabes is going to give you. All right, let's go to the power bottoms to start this thing off. The worst 5 teams in the league. Chev, who you starting off with here? Who's your bottom 5? Give them to me.
It's still the same, man. My Titans are still the worst team in the league. Still. Not changing.
Who else you got?
The Jets. The Jets are close. They're pushing it. So they're here at 0-5, but they're the second worst team in the league. It might be, if we could do like a tie 32, we would have a tie there. After them is their division mate, the Dolphins. Yeah, Dolphins really suck. And then staying there is New Orleans.
How dare you?
Yeah. And then closing that out is going to be the New York Giants.
Okay. All right. A little different than what I got.
Yeah.
Giants, huh?
Yeah.
Raiders got to be getting close.
Yeah, the Raiders are right. Just outside. Hey, others receiving votes.
Yeah. No, I'm there. I don't have them quite down there yet, but I'm with you. Yeah. All right. My bottom 5. I got Bengals at 32. They just suck. They're terrible to watch.
Oh my God.
They're awful. Like, they won a couple games with Joe Burrow. They're terrible. I'm so done with Cincinnati. I don't think Joe Flacco does anything for this. They might catch an extra win or two here or there, but they just stink. They're terrible. So they're might be the worst watch. Tennessee at 31 is my second worst watch, I think, right now. Although the Raiders have made it pretty tough to watch the last few weeks.
Yeah. If we're talking watchability, then this is just a shitstorm sandwich.
And then I got the Jets moving down. I was trying to keep them out of here because I like what the idea of kind of what they're trying to do there, but it ain't working. They're deep. Like, how you fumbled the bag so bad with Saleh doesn't make any sense to me. You had a good defense. He left. That defense became terrible, and now they're awful. They've got no turnovers. There's just nothing going on in this defense. Trade Sauce Gardner away. Do something else. Like, you guys stink. It's bad. All right, Miami also stinks. You guys were up 17-0 to Carolina, and you blew it. I don't know. Your defense stinks too. Offense has looked at least a little better, more competent kind of recently too. It seems like he's got a little bit of swagger and confidence in him. Dolphins are at least plucky and not the worst team. And then the team that just beat them is my 5th team in the power bottoms, Carolina Panthers. Canales' coordinator face. Sorry, but he is. I like him. I think he's a good quarterback coach. I think he's a nice guy. I just don't think he's cut out for coaching, being the head coach. I don't think he can't be the bad cop ever. I don't think. I think he's too all shucksy. I don't know. Something's just a miss there.
I think their defense is so bad, and
terrible.
Bryce Young is still, he hasn't quite taken the step that we thought he has.
And it could be because the defense is, they're not getting, there's not a lot of, the ecosystem in general is not working well there.
Yeah. Here's the thing, is like, it feels like sometimes on a given play, like 3 players on their team will forget what football even is.
Yeah.
And it just screws everything up, and it makes them look. But then sometimes it's like, it's smooth. Like them making that comeback on, basically, riding the coattails of Rico Dowdle, that, they figure it out and they get some stuff, basically they get Bryce out of his own way and they're able to do some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they've got a superstar wide receiver. They've got, a strong running game. They've got the offensive line pretty much built. Even though they're going to be without Robert Hunt for the rest of the year, and they're without Corbett for a while. But yeah, I think that they're going to be okay. They're going to suck, but it's not going to be like as bad as the teams at the bottom.
All right, let's jump up to the top 10. Give me your top 10 here of Chev's power rankings here, starting at 10. And if there's some fringe guys there that you're tied up with, you can give them some love.
10, I've got the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah, that's disappointing loss on Thursday night, but it's a weird division game, and you've played really, really well, played really, really strong football thus far in the trenches, offensively and defensively. So I really like everything about their situation. Just got to figure out how to close games better. 9, I'm holding out hope with the Los Angeles Chargers. We've moved them basically from 1 down to 9, and I can't bring them lower than this. I probably should, but I've got them at 9 right now. Number 8, probably the biggest riser here, is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 7, the San Francisco 49ers. This is a top 3 to 5 team once Brock Purdy comes back, once we get George Kittle back, because they've stacked up those W's, and there's not going to be the pressure of rushing anyone back now. So we're a team that's playing good football that doesn't have their best pieces, tends to lend me to think that they're going to play better football when they get their guys back. 6 is the Indianapolis Colts. We've got to adjust the expectations here. They're good. They might not be Super Bowl caliber, but they're really good at this point. 5, the Green Bay Packers, they were idle. The tie with some of the injuries on defense, I think that they're going to be back healthy. You'll see a better version of them. 4, the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't want to overcorrect this loss, but I just, you know what, guys, I'm doing it. What I can't do is, guys, I can't put, and you're seeing it right there, I can't put the Colts above them just because it doesn't feel good. I feel like I need to move them down to teach them a lesson, to get them to play some Super Bowl caliber football. So if you're watching this, all right, Jalen Hurts, you've been notified. You got bumped down in the Chef GPT power rankings. So stop this bullshit and play good football again. All right. Number 3, the Detroit Lions. They're back. They're rolling. They're humming again. They were, we overreacted to week 1 as usual. Number 2, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've been saying it. They're proving it for me. And then number 1, this is the team that I have the least questions about on a week in, week out basis, even though they lost. It was a weird game. You had a guy, big time players making big time plays. Still going to be the Buffalo Bills. I still have the least questions about who I'm going to get on a week in, week out basis, unless Josh Allen has reverted back to his turnover ways. So, floor is yours.
All right, here we go. Let's get into it. At number 10 in Casey's power rankings going into week, what are we at, 6 here?
Yeah.
All right, I'm coming in. I'm giving you the San Francisco 49ers at 10. All right, we're 4-1. I do think these are good wins. Everything's great. We got to get the band back together and then see where this team stands. Is it just a fun story for now or not? I think a lot of young pieces on the defense they're getting some experience here. We'll see if we get Mustafa back here and see what happens at that safety position. But top 10, San Francisco in there. Number 9, Green Bay Packers. So they've kind of bumped down, sat idle, got the tie. They could easily be bouncing back. I want to see them come out here and play some good football. It's just been from where we started to where we are now. It's just steadily feeling like it's been a little bit of a decline, so they could bounce back. Indy coming in here at number 8. Like you said, you got to adjust the expectations. Really, I think if I could have it, I'd have a tie between them and Jacksonville right here at 7 and 8. So Jacksonville's coming in at 7. Who's going to win that South? Honestly, I have no idea. I think I trust Indy a little bit more. But I mean, if, like you said, if we talked about it during the show, if Trevor can just make some little improvements throughout the season, Brian Thomas gets off the drop schneid, gets healthy, this offense stops dropping so many balls. They did lose Strange for the year, and so that's a blow in the run game as well as another pass catcher for him. We've kind of seen Travis Hunter be all over the place. Didn't play a whole lot of offense a week or two before. Now he played more offense this week. So they're figuring that out. But I got Jacksonville at 7. 6, I got the Kansas City Chiefs still in there. Right above Jacksonville. I know Jacksonville just beat them. I think if they played that game a reasonable amount of times, I think Kansas City wins that. I think the pieces are coming back from Kansas City. I've seen it from Kansas City time after time. We're going to get Rashid back. Obviously, Worthy had the ankle issue coming in here. I think getting all those other guys some playing time before Rashi comes back and they get their true number one who can, if we take out Juju and put Rashi in there and he can just occupy that middle of the field and do Rashi Rice type things, I think this offense goes to a whole nother level. I think Patrick Mahomes is still great. I can't fade too much of the Chiefs because I think in a couple of weeks we're going to be looking back going, yeah, the Chiefs are so damn good. This sucks. And the defense is still really good. So a lot of things had to go Jacksonville's way at home in Jacksonville to beat him. I still got them one above. Suck it. 5, I'm going Rams. Rams had a tough loss there against San Francisco on a Thursday night against a division rival. I just think they're really good. I think they've got really good players at a lot of all the key positions. I think Stafford's one of the best out there. He's probably talking about who are the guys without legs at the top. Like, he's the guy without legs, but he's so good at playing the position and put the ball kind of wherever it needs to be. And I think Puka's the best receiver in the league right now. You get Devontae in there. Maybe we start seeing a little bit more Terrace Ferguson. Corum has had a tough little stretch here, but when he's been not messing it up, he looks like a nice 1-2 punch with Kyron Williams. Everything. There's no reason San Francisco should have won that game. Some questionable decision making from the Rams as far as execution of what they should do in these situations. And a lucky win for San Fran, but you got to be around to be lucky. I still think LA is a class above a lot of these teams, and heads up would beat, the teams below them. I got Philly at 4. Just questions about the offense right now. That's really it. That's keeping them from being at the top. I don't take too much stock in Denver beating them. Another solid team beating them at home. Man, 3, I got the Buffalo Bills here dropping down from the top spot after a loss to the Patriots. Patriots might be a little thorn in the side for Buffalo here now all of a sudden, so that's a bummer for them. They don't have a terribly tough schedule. I do believe they play the NFC South. So, those are some not great teams, but plucky teams. There's not a great playmaker on offense right now for them. And the defense right now it doesn't scare me. There's nothing. The pass rush isn't awesome. They don't stop the run well. They get a cornerback. Maybe they could, even some things up a little bit on that defense, but still one of the class of the league, but dropping them down to 3. Number 2, I got the Detroit Lions coming in here. They're absolutely, after the game 1, there's may not be a hotter team, and maybe they deserve to be 1 this week. They've just lost a few key pieces on defense over this last week. DJ Reader and drawing a blank.
Terry and Arnold.
Yeah. So they lost those guys. I think 1 for the season and 1 may be back potentially eventually.
Yeah. Terry and Arnold will be back at some point this season.
So great matchup between them and the Chiefs this week. We'll kind of see how that goes. And then number 1, I got Tampa. Tampa's at 1. Tampa's number 1. What they're doing it with, it doesn't seem to matter. They're just figuring it out. They're doing it. I think Baker's playing, I had the Chargers up here. They're not even in the top 10 anymore. See you later. Baker has taken the crown I think he's playing the best quarterback out of any of those teams that we just listed in the top 10. Baker's the guy I want with the ball in his hands outside of maybe Patrick Mahomes because of time after time. But you got to kill Baker. He's on that Patrick Mahomes shit where you got to kill him 10 times before you beat him. And I don't know that the defense is anything that necessarily completely scares you, but they've got some decent pieces over there. Bowles is a pretty good defensive coach, but they haven't lost anything from necessarily losing Liam per se. Baker's the guy. He's got control of this thing, and they've basically are down to Emeka Egbuka and Rachaad White, and they just went out there and dropped 38 at home or on the road in Seattle. Now, obviously, they had some corner issues through that game, and Seattle's actually been not as good at home as they've been on the road over the last X amount of games. But just going west, taking care of business in a shootout. I mean, you had to get a little bit of lucky there with a Sam Darnold bounce off a helmet interception. But I mean, at the end of the day, I got Tampa at 1.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Just cinema.
All right, you want to jump to rock out of here on some key matchups that you're excited about this week?
Yeah, I mean, before we get out of here, just to hit some of the most important matchups to me, it's basically the afternoon slate. So you've got the 49ers traveling east to take on the Buccaneers, and they did right on this one because they didn't make it a fucking noon kickoff for a West Coast team. It's a primetime game, 3:25 kickoff. That's a huge deal.
You're on that central-ish.
Yeah. 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 The best
4:25 for the East Coasters.
Yeah. And then you got the Lions and the Chiefs on Sunday night, and you've got the Monday Night Football game. You got the Monday Night Football, basically the Monday Night Football game, the doubleheader. Bills at Falcons, and then Bears at Commanders. And they're doing that stupid 1 hour stagger. That's so dumb.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. But yeah, those are some of the key matchups that I'm looking forward to seeing, just because we've spoken glowingly this week about the Commanders. We spoke about the Bears before the bye week. The Falcons kind of rebounded from that. It just doesn't. The thing about the Falcons that doesn't make sense is that Carolina game. If you're telling their story, if you're telling a story, it's like, okay, the last minute loss to the Bucs, Baker's cooking. Okay, you beat the Falcons on the road, and then like clown mask with the Carolina loss where you don't score a fucking point, and then you come back out and you play really good football the next week. Yeah. So I don't know what story. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously Bucs Niners is a lot of fun. I think the Bucs win that one. I think Chiefs Lions is like the most exciting. What a great matchup we have on Monday night. But the one I'm honestly most interested in is Bears Commanders. I feel like there's just a lot of questions that, potentially could get semi-answered there of where are the Bears at? Who are the Bears getting back coming off of this bye? And then, is Caleb coming out of this bye? How good does he look? Does Jaden look a little healthier? The Bears owe him one here because the Bears definitely should have won this one last year, and it really sent the rest of the season into a fucking spiral.
It sent two different seasons in two completely different directions.
Yeah.
Right? Because absolutely, the Commanders win, and they eke that win out, and they end up getting hot and going to the NFC Championship. The Bears don't win another game for like 3 months after that.
Yeah. No. And this is crazy. All right, let's wrap this one up. We ran long. Sorry, Jason. That's week 6, power rankings, and some news and notes from the NFL. Chev, anything? Man,
this is I don't know. Hey, 10 out of 10, no notes here. This is fucking great.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next time. Peace.